Hey, start spreading the news. KSL's Quarters for Christmas is underway. Raise money today for local children in need. Be a part of it. 100% of the money we receive is returned to the community to provide kids with shoes, clothing, and coats. You can donate online at kslquarters.com or at any Deseret Book location. Leave today. Go do it.
DJ and PK, it's time for a little hockey talk with Cole Bagley.
With complete coverage of the Utah Hockey Club, this is Cole Bagley of KSLSports.com on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, Cole Bagley joins us now. Cole, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are we?
Cole, you know how you made it? You know how you're big time? Number one, you get an open. And number two, you get a sponsor. Cole's brought to you by Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together. You've arrived, Cole. You have arrived.
And number three, I get to be on with DJ and PK.
Well,
Oh, yeah. Way to go.
way to suck up.
Nice.
Well played. So, for people who aren't Googling Utah Hockey Club Cole Bagley and reading all your stuff, which if you're a hockey fan, you know how to do that, you've got some interesting stats, and they don't make any sense. They go against everything we know about sports. And maybe it's just a small sample size, but we keep saying that week after week as the sample size gets bigger. A team that's 4-1-1 in their last 6 also is winless in their last 5 at home. Those two things don't go together. Can you explain?
Yeah, it's kind of strange, but I think when you look at it, I think part of it has to do, just with the schedule that they've had. They've played some really good teams at home. Minnesota is the best team in the NHL right now. Dallas is a very good team. Edmonton is a star-studded team. Washington's one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Vegas is a very, very good team. So I think it has more to do with the fact that they've just played some of the best squads in the NHL. Meanwhile, when they've gone on the road, they've played some teams that are struggling. They beat Pittsburgh 6-1. Pittsburgh's one of the worst teams in the league. Montreal is not a very good team either. Buffalo is struggling. Philadelphia is not very good. And so, not to say that Utah hasn't been able to put together some impressive wins, but I think when you really take a step back and look at the strength of the schedule that they've had, hosting teams in Salt Lake City compared to the teams they played on the road, it's vastly different. It's the best of the best that they've welcomed into the Delta Center compared to quite a few struggling teams that they've met on the road.
It looks like they can use some defensive help. Is it a situation where they have to hang on and wait for Marino to make his opportunity to get back on the ice and Doozy to return? Is that where we're at with these guys from the defensive aspect?
Yeah, I mean, it's getting tougher. They just continue to have injuries happen. I mean, two of the guys, that they, one of the guys they called up, right, Maverick Lamoureux, out 4 to 6 weeks after he sustained an injury about 2 weeks ago. So we're probably still another 2 to 4. I don't think we're going to see Mav until, early to mid-January is kind of what I've been hearing. So, still a ways out from getting him back. And, not exactly sure how long Bortuzzo is out, but Coach Bear said it doesn't look good. So, yeah, it's one of those things. It's part of the sport. You experience injuries and you do as much as you can by calling up, players from your AHL affiliate, and they even had to make a trade to get Ole Mata, which came at a really good time, and he's been phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, the fact that they've had Marino goes out in his injury is a lot longer than they were anticipating. Then Dursley goes down, and so that they have to make a trade, and then Lamoureux goes down, and then Bortuzzo goes down, and so you're kind of you're reaching a point where it's tough to make another trade, especially with how many guys are out, because those guys eventually are going to come back. And so you can't put yourself in a situation where you've got so many guys on the roster once they're all healthy. And so, my anticipation, or what I'm anticipating at this point, is, they've called up another guy from the Tucson Roadrunners, and I would guess that, he's probably going to fill in for the time being, and, we'll see how long Bortuzzo's out, and then hopefully they get Maverick Lamoureux back within the next month.
The power play was a real problem earlier in the season. Andre Tourigny, the Bear, was commenting on it. It looks like it's really trending up here. Why would that be, and do you expect it to continue to trend up? I think they're now, I don't know if they're in the top 20 in the league, but they're getting close, and they were really down there at the bottom. Obviously, they got 2 big goals in the third period against the Wild off the power play. Why is it trending up, and will it continue to trend up? Where's this going? Where's the peak?
I think it's hard to say. It's hard to kind of put a stamp on it and say, yeah, it's going to continue to trend upward. But what we're seeing is a lot of positive signs. I think most of that has to do with guys are starting to step up a little bit more. They're playing with more confidence, and I think it actually starts in the net. Coach, as well as other players like Clayton Keller, said, we're playing with a lot of confidence right now. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that, Vejmelka's playing as well as he is. And Stauber's come in and has been, magnificent in the 2 games that he's played. I believe his save percentage is 96% right now between the 2. And so, when you've got a goaltender playing that well, like Coach pointed out, you're not as nervous to make a mistake because it's not going to cost you as much. And so that confidence, I think, has been spreading throughout the team. And you're seeing a lot of the veterans looking a lot more comfortable. Stenlund has scored 3 goals in the last 3 games. Carcone's gotten a couple. Nick Schmaltz is finally on the score sheet. And then, Clayton Keller, who only scored 1 goal over the last month until the other night. He appears to be playing with a little bit more confidence and stepping up. And so I think the power play is looking better. I anticipate that it will, level out a little bit more. They've got a very dangerous unit. They've got really good players. Keller and Sergachev and Schmaltz and Dylan Gunther, Logan Cooley. Like, this is a good power play unit that doesn't belong in the bottom 5, bottom 10. They should be more of a mid power play. And so we're seeing good things. And hopefully they can continue to produce the way that they have as of late.
You mentioned Keller twice, and that's where I was going. What can he be relative to the rest of the league in terms of stardom?
Yeah, I mean, he's a 4-time All-Star. He's a very good player. I personally believe that he was snubbed from the 4 Nations tournament off of Team USA. You take a look at the roster that they put out, and there were 3 or 4 players that, Keller has twice as many points as they do. Now, there is something to be said about fit and, about skills and abilities, but, he's a very, very good hockey player. He has been for some time. That's why he's, he was the cornerstone of the rebuild in Arizona, and that's why he's the first captain in Utah Hockey Club history. And, if you watch the guy, he's very talented offensively. He's very, very confident. He's very composed. He's very good with the puck. He's patient. He has almost a sixth sense of where his teammates are going to be. He's more of a creator than he is a scorer. But as you saw the other night, he has an elite ability to put the puck in the net. And I think, again, it's just more confidence for him. I mean, if you consider the pressure that he's been under, since moving to Utah, it's a new market, it's a new city, it's a new place. It's new fans, and the kind of the eyes of the hockey world have been on Utah, and to be named the captain of that movement, I think comes with a lot. And so it seems like he's kind of relaxed a little bit more. Maybe, he talked about, being left off that Four Nations roster and how, it forces you to kind of take a look in the mirror and see what you're doing and where you can be better. And yeah, he's a phenomenal player. I think he is, an all-star level type guy. And, it's a big deal for Utah to have a player of that stature on their team.
Getting used to the Central Division, and there was once upon a time a great rant from the Arizona Cardinals coach. They are who we thought they were. I don't think anybody thought the Winnipeg Jets were going to keep that 15-1 pace up, but they've cooled off. 6-8 in the last 14. Minnesota's caught them. Dallas and Colorado seem to be the top half of the division. St. Louis, Utah, Chicago, Nashville, a little separation to the bottom half. Chicago and Nashville are really struggling. Are these teams, are they who we thought they were? Are there any surprises? Do you think they've settled in for the year? Do you expect any of these teams to make big moves up or down? What do you think of the division?
I think the Central Division is an absolute surprise, top to bottom. Looking at last year, and how everybody kind of projected things would go is, everybody anticipated that Nashville was going to, at a minimum, be a top 4 team or a top 3 team. They went and spent a lot of money on some very talented veterans. They got a guy like Steven Stamkos, who was the captain of the Tampa Bay Lightning for many, many years. Multiple-time All-Star, won several Stanley Cups, and they've just floundered. I mean, they've been absolutely terrible. On the flip side, I don't think anybody anticipated Minnesota would be, the best team in hockey this year. I mean, they missed the playoffs. Winnipeg was, I think people anticipated Winnipeg were going to have a good season. They were a very good team last year, but then just kind of struggled to play good hockey when it came, playoff time. And there's tons of surprises all up and down the Central Division. I think Minnesota and Winnipeg are legit Stanley Cup contenders. Winning consecutively as many games as both those teams have is very tough to do. And so it's not shocking that Winnipeg's cooled off a little bit. The NHL season is full of ups and downs. Teams that look like they're the best and on top of the world, can go through poor stretches. But I think those two are legit contenders. Dallas is starting to figure things out. They're kind of a dark horse contender. Colorado has been, I think they've put a lot of pressure on themselves to be better than they are, but they recently made a trade to improve their goaltending and their star-studded roster. They've got two of the best players in the game, in Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar. And then I think St. Louis and Utah are, kind of middle of the pack teams. We'll see what they can do. I think they're both dark horses to make the playoffs. If things go right, if pucks bounce their way, and they can go. If either of those teams can go, on a hot streak here for a little bit, they might be able to push out a team like Colorado moving forward. So it's been a very interesting season. The Central is not at all going the way that I think anybody anticipated, but it's fun. And I still think Utah has a chance, if they can figure things out more, if they can continue to get some consistency and keep playing good hockey, to potentially, move up and compete for a playoff spot.
How much do you think that teams, when they come in here, are jacked to play these guys because of the environment, and it's the first time they've been here, and they used to go to Phoenix, and it was not very good and all that stuff. So I'm wondering if they get whatever the other team has, they get their little extra.
Yeah, I've been talking to a lot of the other teams who've come through Salt Lake. The Colorado Avalanche, Vegas Golden Knights. I talked to a couple players from Minnesota the other day, and kind of the collective opinion is that this is a much better situation than Arizona, not just from a management standpoint, front office standpoint for the Utah Hockey Club, but yeah, from the arena, the Delta Center is vastly superior to what they're playing at in Tempe. I've seen some of the photos of the locker rooms, and it just was not to the level that the NHL players expect and should be able to expect. It was like a high school locker room situation, and a pretty small arena. A guy like Nathan McKinnon, he told me he did not like playing there, and so I think they're enjoying it. Marc-Andre Fleury, who's an NHL legend, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, here in a couple years. He's retiring this season. He said that this is a great hockey town. It's perfect hockey weather. Some of the boys were able to go up to Park City and really enjoyed it. The arena is beautiful. They are taking note of the support that the Utah Hockey Club is getting, and all of them have been very excited to experience it. They're hearing a lot about it, and they're enjoying it. And so, I think guys are excited to be a part of history, to come in and see a new place, a new town, a new fan base, this new team. And I think it raises the level of competition when, you come into a barn and you see as many fans as the Delta Center is producing and the environment that they're creating. And, they're a rambunctious, crew. So, I think teams are getting up for it.
Cole, we appreciate the time and the update on the Utah Hockey Club. We will talk to you again next week, and you can savor the Open and the sponsorship, and then I suppose hanging out with us. There aren't that many people excited to do that. I'm glad you are.
Well, it's always a pleasure, guys. Thanks so much.
All right, Cole Bagley talking Utah Hockey Club. They are on the road in Colorado tonight. You can listen to the game right here on The Zone. The puck drops at 7, pregame show. Utah Hockey Night in Utah starts at 6 o'clock with Adrian Denning. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Bronco Mendenhall, Utah State football coach, joins us at 9:05 right here on The Zone.